Ah, the infamous red-bellied piranha, the sharp-toothed, cold-blooded marauder of the murky waters. Right? Well, sort of. This misunderstood fish might have a jaw full of razors, but its hunger for humans has been, we'll say, exaggerated. It's a creature cloaked in myth and mystery, stirring up our imaginations far more than the waters themselves. Yet, like with many of nature's allegedly bloodthirsty beasts, sometimes the bite is far smaller than the bark, like the red-bellied piranha here in Life, Death, and Taxonomy.
Welcome back to Life, Death, and Taxonomy. It's your 30 minutes of interesting animal information. I'm Joe.
And I'm Carlos.
Thank you to Cassie for the creation of our theme song. To hear more of Cassie's music, please search Cassie Michelle on YouTube or Spotify.
And thank you to Johanna for the creation of this week's artwork. To check that out, you can visit us at our home on the web at ldtaxonomy.com. And a very special thank you to our patrons. Thank you so much for your support. It's greatly appreciated. Thanks for helping us keep the lights on. And if you would like to donate, just visit patreon.com/ldtaxonomy or click on donate on our website.
And today we're talking about how when a red belly rises, it means blood has been spilled this night.
We were just talking about Lord of the Rings before we jumped on. It works.
More on that later.
And I was just watching that exact scene last night.
That line sounds like it is very much in the books, and it is not. He does not say that.
Does it say they run as if the very whips of their masters were behind them?
I think they do say that. Or something like it.
It would be a little weird if in the Lord of the Rings universe, anytime blood was spilled, the red sun rose, which is just like all we have is Superman killing suns. Like there would just never be a normal sun. Everything would just be bathed in red like it's Arrakis or something. Anyway, what are we talking about?
We're talking about the red-bellied piranha.
Piranha, yes. Just one of those natural hazards like quicksand. It's there. Movies have told us that it's there. Stay away.
It's the classic piranha.
Yeah, if you're envisioning a piranha, this one's it. It's also, we're going to call it here the Red Menace. The presidential nominee. And nibble me not.
Why is it presidential? Because it's red?
Sure. I hadn't thought about that, but presidential will become relevant as I get into the major fact.
Okay. Do you want to know what science calls it?
Yes.
Well, it's in the kingdom Animalia. You know it. You love it. You're in it. The phylum is Chordata. The class Actinopterygii. The order Characiformes. Characiformes. It's probably Characy.
Characiformes.
Looks like character. Yeah, if it's Chordata, it's definitely a K sound.
Yeah.
For that CH. The family is Cerasalmidae.
That's pretty good.
Cerasalmidae. The genus is Pygocentrus.
Mm-hmm.
And then the species is Naturiri. Pygocentrus naturiri.
Yeah, so since we're in the business of naming things, it's time for my favorite part of the show, nitty-gritty nomenclature. This is the part of the show where I ask you, Joe, a question, and that question is the same every time. What is the English translation for the binomial nomenclature, which in this case is Pygocentrus naturiri? Does that mean A, fire-centered cutter, B, blood lower sword, C. Natterer's rump stinger. Or D. Triangular red belly.
A lot of people never come back from the rump stinger. They stay out in the real world. Don't go back to the Amish. Let's go with rump stinger. It kind of deleted everything else I just heard from my memory. So let's do that.
Oh, it's like my daughter's middle name is Julianne. Or her name is Riley Julianne. And whenever I think of that, I think of just Rudy Giuliani. And it just it deletes. You are correct. It is Natterer's rump stinger. Or stung rump, even, if you want to look at it that way. Pygo means rump in Greek. Centris is sting or stung. Or it's centris. Sorry. So it's not centris. It is pronounced centris, but it comes from the root of centris, which is sting. And Natterer is the Australian naturalist that discovered this, or at least taxonomized this guy. I never like it when it's just named after somebody's name. It's annoying. It's like it's vain and also kills my game here. So, but yeah, Natterer's rump stinger or stung rump.
Nice.
It is just weird that sting is part of this. That's another Lord of the Rings reference.
I love getting it right on a whim.
I should have made the other ones more
fanciful.
Or just more
sonomically attractive.
Take up more oxygen in the room.
Yeah. Would you like to know what it looks like?
Sure.
It's like we said, the classic piranha. Their most distinctive feature is their red belly, which is more pronounced in males during the breeding season. So males are redder, and their bellies would get even redder during the breeding season. The rest of their body is usually like a gray or silvery color, so with some shine and with some speckling. They have a rounded, laterally compressed body, meaning they're fish-shaped, they're round, but if you look at them, their side profile, and then they are, flat. And they have a disc-like appearance when viewed from the side. Their fins are generally clear or slightly reddish, with a prominent adipose fin between the dorsal fin and the tail, which is nice. That's the one that has the awkward name. I guess it can also be called the adipose fin.
Oh, the adipose fin?
Yeah, it goes from like the middle of their belly and it like fans all the way to the end of their tail. They have sharp triangular teeth designed for tearing flesh, which contributes to their fearsome looking faces and reputations. Their eyes are large, slightly bulging, and but they have pretty decent vision, I'm seeing. I hope that's true. Which is what they use to detect prey. And they're red. From what I'm seeing, like the pictures, they're like orange, amber, or red. Fish are abominations. Look at these things.
I mean, these ones are particularly ugly.
But that brings us to their size. Welcome to the beloved Measure Up segment, a part of the show It is a part of the show where when we present the animal size and dimensions in relatable terms through a quiz that's fun for the whole family. It's also a part of the show that's introduced by you when you send an audio of yourself saying, singing, or chittering. The words measure up into ldtaxonomy@gmail.com. We don't have a new measure up intro this week, but that means we get to hear from an animal. And Carlos has to guess what it is. I believe we have an email as well.
Nice.
From Nora. She says, my aunt was born with half her brain. What? She has everything in her, like, she's experienced everything we talk about.
Yeah, her anytime we have a question, Nora has experienced it in some way.
She's not just studied in it, she's experienced it firsthand.
Yeah, I wonder what, like, crustaceans would be like on the moon. Well, like, I've actually been on the moon with a crustacean once, and it's like, thanks, Nora.
My aunt was born with half her brain and brain damage on the left side. Was born with half her brain and brain damage on the left side. Before, I'm hoping that means, like, the one half is damaged and the other half is good. But we'll keep reading and see. And, like, she has some developmental issues and paralysis issues, epilepsy, just a lot of challenges. But she lived on her own later in life, learned to read and learned to write, a bit wobbly, and did basic math. Her biggest trouble, epilepsy aside, was socializing. So if she's saying what it sounds like, which is she only has half of her brain, and that half is damaged on the left side, then it's pretty crazy that she's able to live on her own, write, do math. Like, that sounds extensive to me.
There's a lot of college kids with both halves of their brain that can't do those things.
That's true. She was born in the 60s in an isolated town in Quebec, which is like the Alabama of Canada. That's where my family's from. I'm glad to know that. We're from the South.
Quebec is the Alabama of Canada?
I think of it just as the most, like, rural French.
But Quebec is a big city. I mean, the city of Quebec is maybe the entire
big is
province.
Is relative. Yeah.
Is more rural?
Well, is it bigger than Mobile?
I think so. I mean, I'm pretty sure Quebec is one of the largest cities in Canada, up there with Montreal and Vancouver.
I mean,
Toronto.
that's a low bar. Most of Canada is small in terms of population, which is like the Alabama of Canada. So she didn't get a ton of care and support, dropped out of school in 6th grade and was treated like an idiot by strangers. I think in a bigger city with better help, she could have done amazingly too. A lot of difficulties weren't from her brain, but her experiences. She managed better than anyone could have ever have imagined when she was little. I was proud of her despite her never doing anything super exciting to an outside gaze. I don't know. Having half a brain is interesting and exciting to me. Well, not exciting. Just like definitely a human interest story, to be sure. Achieving with half a brain.
Yeah.
Like, if you can achieve with half a brain, what do people expect? Like, what is she supposed to do? Cure cancer? That's pretty crazy. That's pretty outstanding, I'd say.
Well, it's kind of like a Helen Keller situation where it's like, did you just write a book?
Yeah.
How did you write a book?
How do you know what a book is?
That's incredible. That's an incredible story, Nora.
It really is. So we were talking about how, like, I forget why we were talking about it in the animals. Were we talking about, like, sleeping? Like how dolphins can sleep with one side of your brain on and one side of your brain off.
Yeah, unihemispheric sleep.
Yeah, and then we were also talking about like you can. There's been like situations where the two hemispheres have been disconnected, and how that makes things very strange. So I wonder if she's born with half a brain, is it like, does she have like does it mean half brain function or literally one hemisphere? And if so, does that mean she can only use one side of her body, see out of one eye? I'm curious. I have
No, I think
questions.
your body compensates.
Does it? Like your brain
I'm
connects?
fairly certain, but don't quote me on it because I've never done any research on it. I think I listened to a podcast one time about someone whose half of their brain was removed, and I don't think they lost function on the other side of their body. By the way, Quebec has a population of over 550,000, where Mobile has a population of 180,000. So Quebec has more people in it than Miami.
Really?
Yeah, not the greater Miami area, but like Miami proper.
Well, there you go. Quebec, the province, though, maybe is more like Alabama.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like you have a big, like very urban city core, and then like the rest of it is the Canadian version of Hicktown, I suppose.
All I know is that I know that people from Quebec get scoffed at when speaking to other French speakers because they have they have the southern twang of French accents.
Is it the Alabama of Canada, or is it the Alabama of the French-speaking world?
Maybe both.
Because like in Toronto, they may not, where they don't speak French as prominently. They may be like, no, Quebec's pretty cool. But like, in France, they may be like, those Québécois. Je ne sais pas.
Yeah, I think of when I think of Quebec, I think of like the fur trapper, the like 1800s fur trapper wearing nothing but furs with a big beard. That's what I think of.
I've met a lot of Canadians, but only one like person who lives in Quebec. And he was a little snooty. So
yeah,
that was kind of my impression of the whole
that's
of the
everyone
whole
who
area.
speaks French. Everyone who
like
speaks French
I've
is
met
a little
people
snooty.
from like Saskatchewan, and they were like super nice and very like they had the whole like Midwestern.
Yeah, Saskatchewan strikes me as the
vibe.
Midwest of.
I've met people from Toronto. Not really too many people from the far West Coast. But yeah, those are all super nice people. A lot of there are a lot of Quebecois. I think Quebecians. I think it's Quebecois that come to South Florida as snowbirds. So I see that license plate all over the place in South Florida during the winter, but I've just never actually talked to any of them.
Thank you, Nora, for telling us that incredible story. I would love to know more about that. Like, what is it a hemisphere? She has one hemisphere, or just half brain function? That's what I want.
It sounds like the first thing.
Okay, so let's talk about their length. 6 to 10 inches. 15 to 25 centimeters. Do 5 go into Michael Jordan's vertical leap? B, do 3 go into the Stratocaster Michael Jackson played on the album His Story? Or C, do 1,575 go into Michael Johnson's record-setting event in 1999?
What was that event?
That's the question.
Oh, It just they just go into the event. Okay. No. I'm looking at a guitar right now.
But is it Michael Jackson's signature Stratocaster that he played on a specific album?
It can't be that much. Like a 3-foot guitar is really short. Less than 3 feet, 30 inches. That's a short guitar. You're getting into mandolin territory there. So, no, that's not that. 50 inches for Michael Jordan's vertical leap. That sounds pretty good. I'm sensing a pattern.
Yeah. Michael Jordan, Michael Jackson, Michael Johnson.
I'm interested about the event. Michael Johnson's event. Final answer.
The correct answer is Michael Johnson's event. It was the 400 meters. 400 meter in sprint.
Why was I not told what the event was?
Because that's how long it is.
Oh, just record-setting like race at least.
Yeah.
I was like, did he jump into a tank with this many piranhas?
He's a runner. If he was like a high jumper, then it wouldn't be. You wouldn't know the distance based on the event's name, but he's a runner, so the event's name is part of it. It's part of the distance he ran.
Yeah.
In
well,
fact,
also, I mean, again, an event. If he like jumped into a tank with a bunch of piranhas, you would not be able to tell me what the event's name was.
Yeah, I just thought you knew who Michael Johnson was. He was the fastest man alive for our childhood.
Yeah, I don't know. The current fastest the current fastest man alive has a name that just eliminates all other runners' names from my brain.
That's true. He is perfectly named.
But
Michael Johnson was American. He won American gold medals. He still is American. Even you could even say.
In Harry Potter, the guy who's a werewolf is named Remus Lupin. Mm-hmm. That's this guy. That's the guy where it's like, oh, your name is Wolfie McWolferton? Yeah, you're probably the werewolf. Your name is Usain Bolt? You probably run really fast.
Well, their weight is 3.9 kilograms or 8 pounds, 10 ounces. Like a baby. A big baby. This is a baby-sized fish.
How many pounds?
8 pounds, 10 ounces.
8 pounds, 10 ounces. I got different.
That is a big baby. Upper end of average for little babies. Are they equivalent? Are they the same weight as 39,000 peas? B, 9,800 green beans? Or C, 18 zucchini?
I think 18 zucchini is more than 8 pounds. Or almost 9 pounds. 39,000 peas. The final answer. 39,000 peas. I'm not thinking about this for even one more second.
Final answer?
Yes.
Is the correct answer is 39,000 peas.
Yes. Two
in a row.
2 for 2.
They're actually all very close, but not quite.
I was just imagining holding a Publix bag full of 18 zucchini. And I was like, that's got to weigh more than 10 pounds. It's got to weigh more than a baby. If I had a Publix bag full of a baby and a Publix bag full of zucchini, like it wouldn't be the same.
Are you ready to hear some fast facts before we get into the major fact?
Yep.
Despite their fearsome reputation, they're primarily, they scavenge.
No.
Yeah, I'll throw that out. They eat a variety of food, including fish, insects, crustaceans, and plant matter. You wouldn't look at that face and think, that'll eat a plant.
That's a vegetarian.
That's a vegetarian. He's not.
Those are vegetarian teeth.
Not completely a vegetarian. Yeah. If it ate a zucchini, you'd think it would just get stuck in there. But red-bellied piranhas are schooling fish in their traveling groups. This behavior helps protect them against predators and increase their efficiency in finding food. Many eyes make light work in searching for food. They're native to freshwater rivers and the lakes of South America, including the Amazon basin. Oh no! I forgot to have you hear from an animal, and Carlos has to guess what it is.
Oh yeah.
Let's do that real quick, right?
Oh, we're gonna do that anyway.
Because it tells us where this animal's from as well. Wait, we probably have to read an ad or listen to an ad. We didn't. Without further ado, the listener's favorite part of the show.
All right, let's see those pearly whites.
I'm a piranha. They're in the Amazon.
They are in the Amazon.
Yeah.
That
Was not a
piranha that was? No, she said she was.
Oh, and the internet never lies.
That's true.
This is Darla.
Mm-hmm.
Darla.
From Finding Nemo, yes, Darla. Red-bellied piranhas.
The antagonist of the movie.
Red-bellied piranhas communicate using a variety of sounds, including barks, grunts, and clicks. Did you know that?
Yes.
These sounds can indicate aggression, stress, and other social interactions. Which sounds usually do. During breeding, males develop a more intense red coloration on their bellies. They build nests in the substrate where females lay their eggs. They're family men. Both parents guard the eggs until they hatch. What? I hardly knew ye, piranha. I didn't know you were like this.
That's so kind of them.
And
that
red
family. Belly is because they have such a warm heart.
Yeah, exactly right. In the wild, red bellies can live for 10 years, while in captivity they can live even longer with proper care. They can live longer than a bulldog.
They both have smashed faces. But one was supposed to be on Earth and the other one was not.
Yeah. Bulldogs are supposed to be in space.
Don't let Bibi hear you say that.
That they're supposed to be in space?
Yeah, she loves bulldogs.
Yeah, you were implying they should be dead. I was implying
they should not have been bred into
astronauts.
bulldogs.
Yeah.
They did send a dog into space.
It wasn't a bulldog.
40 years ago or whatever.
Because only bulldogs are supposed to be in space.
There's a bulldog force field around the earth, and if you are a dog but not a bulldog, you
their
cannot
jowls
survive.
close to make a seal.
Protects them from the anti-bulldog vacuum.
Speaking of anti-bulldog vacuums, do you have any big facts?
I do. Anti-bulldog vacuum. I just picture the character bulldog from Frasier, and you just get a vacuum and just kind of like chase him away with it.
The bulldog from Frasier.
Yeah. There's a character named Bulldog. He's
Bob
Briscoe. Just absolute psychopath that like barks at people.
All bulldogs that probably think that vacuums are anti-bulldog vacuums.
That's true. To a bulldog, all vacuums are anti-bulldog.
That thing is so anti-me.
That thing was built to attack me personally and my race, my dog race.
All right.
Let's talk about the major fact, which I did not name. I guess we'll call it the bark. My bark is worse than my bite. That's It's about as vanilla as it gets, but it's also on the nose. So the major fact is that red-bellied piranhas, or just piranhas in general, are far less aggressive than you probably think, or at least that popular culture suggests. I kind of hinted at it in the beginning of this episode, but it is kind of like the quicksand of fish. I guess the great white shark might be the quicksand of fish, but the great white shark is less of like an environmental hazard and more of a force of nature, where like piranhas are something that just your average explorer is going to have to deal with when going through the rainforest. If you've ever played the newer Tomb Raider games where you can swim, the only thing that can hurt you down there, well, there's two things: electric eels and piranhas. But as you mentioned, piranhas are scavengers. They eat plant material. They eat things that are already dead. They will sometimes nip the fins off of larger fish. And the reason why they stay in groups is not to necessarily swarm something to kill it. It's for protection, so that they can see where predators are, and they can also find opportunities to eat. But it's not like, hey, look, there's a person or a jaguar. let's go swarm it. Although I mean they are capable of that. It's just not their primary way of eating. Like, oh, literally, if anything dips its toe into the water, it will pull out a stub of bone. Which is definitely when I was growing up. Like, that's what I thought just piranhas did.
Like the equivalent of dipping your hand in acid.
Yeah, acid. It strips the flesh off of whatever you put in there. I'm sure there have been, I can't even think of one, but I'm sure there have been many cartoons where, like, yeah, they dip their hand in there and they pull it out and it's just bones. That's probably like a Tom and Jerry thing. But yeah, so during the dry season where food is more scarce, they will nibble on smaller fish. And they do have a very strong bite force and those very sharp teeth. That allows them to eat food really quickly, so they can eat and also evade predators. So they're not sitting there chewing their food with these molars like the pacu fish. It just has a mouthful of molars, like a horror horror trope.
Fish,
Yeah, what is that? And contrary to popular belief, red-bellied piranhas would rather swim away rather than attack, which is, I mean, this is the behavior of most fish. Even sharks would most likely swim away from something that they didn't understand rather than try and attack it or stand their ground. They're fast. They're fish. They can get out of there. And piranhas in general, they just don't really pose a danger to humans. There have been very few attacks or recorded attacks. And the reality is that they play an essential role in the ecosystem. They clean up the rivers from detritus and other dead animals. Because they're scavengers. They fill the same role under the rolling river as vultures do in the sky and on land. But why? Why do we think this about piranhas? Despite outside of just looking at it and being like, "Hey, that'll strip the flesh off your body," which is not an unreasonable thing to think when you look at this like snub-nosed, abominable snowman thing with just razor sharp teeth. But the reason why we all think this is thanks to one Theodore Roosevelt. Which is why I called it a presidential nominee. And it's also relevant to the season of life we're in. So in 1913, Theodore Roosevelt visited Brazil. And he recorded in his book through the Brazilian wilderness a staged piranha feeding frenzy where the piranhas in like a pond were starved of food, and then they dropped a cow into the pond. And the cow was eviscerated, and all of its flesh was stripped from its bones because there was, dozens of piranha in there that it had not eaten for a long time, and so yes, you had a feeding frenzy.
Did he stage it for a book, or was it something that he recorded a staged event? Like they were like, "Hey, Theodore, look at this," and he was just like, "Oh wow."
I want to say that was the situation,
which is something like they tried to do with that teddy bear too, the bear that became teddy bear. Like, hey, they staged like a bear hunt. They tied it up and like, hey, shoot this bear, and he didn't like that. People keep trying to do stuff with animals and show Teddy Roosevelt,
and he's like, no.
Except for this
I'm
time,
a
where he's just like, let me write this down.
Yes, according to Liberty Science Center, the locals put on a show for him, which included netting off a section of piranhas so that they couldn't get food, and then pushing a cow into that section of the river.
Okay.
Which is like, it's kind of nuts that that is what they thought would be a good idea. It's like, hey, the American president is coming to see our humble village. Let's show him that we're not savages by starving a bunch of carnivorous fish and then pushing a cow in there so that the river turns red with blood and guts. He'll love that. We heard Americans love that kind of stuff. And then he documents it and says like, wow, it's nuts down there. Don't go in the water. It's full of demon fish. And I'm sure one glance at the fish themselves confirmed his suspicions. Hollywood latched onto the story because this is 1913. This is the birth of films, the film industry in general, and the beginning of putting together like more than just a small clip, but actually like feature-length films. And so they started putting this image of piranhas into these movies, similar to like Eight-Legged Freaks and all that stuff, and it's just put it into the zeitgeist that piranhas are a deadly environmental hazard in the Amazon, similar to quicksand. And you watch all these cartoons and you're like, I always thought quicksand would be a much bigger problem in life than it actually is. Not only is it like in very few places, but it's also it's very rare that quicksand is deep enough to completely swallow a person. And so it's not, again, there's a kernel of truth. There are pits of quicksand that are super deep, and piranhas do go on feeding frenzies when they are hungry enough. So it's not exactly myth busted. Right.
It is more like, it is very much like quicksand. Something that can be deadly in specific conditions, but it's not as prevalent as cartoons would have you believe.
Like if you go swimming in the Amazon basin, you have a very, very low probability of getting attacked by piranhas. Even if piranhas are swimming around underneath you, you are probably not going to get attacked by one. But that's not to say that you won't be. Similar to sharks. Compared to how many times someone has been in the vicinity of a shark versus how many times someone has been bitten by a shark, the chances of being bitten by a shark are really, really low. But they still can. They're still dangerous. So don't underestimate them. And this whole time I've been thinking about that Tarzan scene where they think that where they think he's a piranha, but like these elephants know that piranhas live in South America. Like, why do you know about South America, African elephant?
They read the books.
Yeah. But that's it. It's the red-bellied piranha. You got anything else?
That's all I got.
So for you out there in Podcastia, eat quickly, sharpen your teeth, and oh man, I meant to change this. I gotta think of something else. Hold on. Splice it in.
I won't.
Do it.
It's a no editing situation.
So for you out there in Podcastia, stay together as a group, sharpen your teeth, and eat beef as quickly as possible at the behest of the American President Teddy Roosevelt. Terry Roosevelt. Here, like the piranha, here in Life, Death, and Taxonomy.
Hey Taxonomy Titans, I just want to remind you that we now have a Patreon. Patrons can see full video episodes and get shoutouts on the show. But ultimately, it's a way for you to help us cover some costs and get even better. Still, reviews are the best way to help us grow. So if you haven't left one yet, we'd really love to hear from you. As always, thanks for listening and engaging.
Life, Death, and Taxonomy is my favorite in the world podcast.
I like that. Eat beef for the president. That's good advice.
Eat beef for President Terry.